Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for the City Council of this evening. First thing up on the agenda is roll call. Terrell?
Mayor Gill?
Here.
Vice Mayor Dukes?
Here.
Councilmember Buckland?
Here.
Councilmember Mon?
Here.
Councilmember Starkey?
Here. If you please rise for the invocation given by Councilmember Buckland, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Boy Scout Sage Wallace.
If you bow your heads with me, please. Dear wise and loving Father, we're grateful for your presence in this public meeting. Thank you for this day and the many blessings you provide each of us. This evening we ask for your guidance during this meeting and the decisions that will be made here tonight. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in Yuba City and the surrounding communities. It's in your most blessed name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Sage, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, please be seated. First up is Eagle Scout Achievement Award, which will be given to Sage Wallace, Boy Scout Troop 32. Sage, if you want to come up to the front here. Got a horse up here flying your rodeos in town today. This is a certificate of recognition from the City of Yuba City given to Eagle Scouts to Sage Wallace for outstanding achievement, exceptional leadership, and citizenship evidenced by his attainment of rank of Eagle Scout, given on May 20th, 2014, City of Yuba City Council here, signed by myself here as Mayor of Yuba City. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There. We got some gifts here from the City of Yuba City. Would you like to say a few words here? Whatever you want to say, you can speak in the microphone.
I don't really know what to say. I guess hard work pays off, and when you're willing to do something, you get your stuff done, and you're proud to do what you do, and just happy for it. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, next thing up is also National Nurses Week, May 6th through May 12th, 2014. And we're presenting this to some registered nurses. Is Chai Bang, she here, or Sandy Makins? What about Sandy's here? Okay, I'm probably having a tough time with his names, but Isalia? Okay, how about Inger? And Andrea? Okay, come on up here. We've got a proclamation on behalf of the City Council, so I'll read the short version of it, but I'll let you guys hold that in the middle there. May 6th to May 12th was National Nurses Week. Nearly 3.1 million nurses in the United States comprise our nation's largest healthcare profession. Professional nurses has been demonstrated to be an indispensable component in the safety and quality of care of our hospitalized and home health patients. Right Out Health celebrated National Nurses Week with a week-long series of appreciation events themed Nurses, Superheroes, and Scrubs for more than 500 registered nurses and 400 nursing support staff working at Fremont Medical Center, Right Out Surgery Center, Hospice, and the Right Out Senior Living Facilities in Yuba City. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Cash Gill, Mayor of City of Yuba City, on behalf of the entire City Council, ask that all the residents of Yuba City join me in honoring the many nurses who care for all of us and show our appreciation for our community's nurses every opportunity throughout this year, done on the 20th day of May 2014. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you for all the work you do. Would you guys like to say a few words?
I'd just like to say that it's a great honor to serve the City of Yuba City and to take care of the patients that come to us. I work over at the Fremont campus, and it's a great honor. Thanks.
I just want to say thank you for this privilege to accept this, and it is a great privilege. I've been a nurse for 20 years now, and I'm glad that I was chosen for this profession, and it is an honor to serve our community.
I just want to say thank you too. I moved from Europe, from Germany 8 years ago, and I've worked pretty much all over Europe, and I'm really happy to see how highly professional we are here. So it's a high comparison to everywhere else.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
There we go. Next Senior Youth Commission presented by our Youth Commission, Chairperson Lauren Krager, Vice Chairperson Leanne Jarvis, and Commissioners Justine Gill, Dominic Playa, Isabella Touche, Katie Edel, Priya Gill, and Megan Baines. The floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lauren Krager, and I'm the chairperson of the City of Yuba City Youth Commission. And do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Leanne Jarvis, and I am the Vice Chairperson for the Youth Commission.
Katie Edel, Commissioner.
Isabella Touche, Commissioner.
Priya Gill, Commissioner.
Megan Baines, Commissioner.
Justine Gill, Commissioner.
Dominic Playa, Commissioner.
So the Youth Commission acts as an advisory body to the City Council and city departments regarding issues related to the youth. As commissioners, it is our goal to voice the concerns and needs of the youth in the City of Yuba City and also provide leadership in the community.
Throughout the past year, we have held city council meetings at local high schools. We have a grant available for those who apply. We also host fundraisers, participate in volunteering events, and address the possible projects that we could do to help aid the concerns for the youth.
One of the favorite things we do is we invite and we go and attend city council meetings at schools. Last year we did one at my school, River Valley, and then this year we did one at Yuba City. And that was just really fun to see how the youth can just be a part and take part of a city council meeting, because kids don't usually go. I mean, we see some Boy Scouts, but it's pretty cool to give them that experience.
We are currently administering a Youth Commission grant with the purpose of providing local groups and organizations with funds to facilitate projects that benefit youth in the community, that benefit or are led by youth in the community. And we are giving money away in the amount of $700 to $2,000 for each group, and they must follow the guidelines of after-school activities, Go Green initiatives, or healthy lifestyle initiatives.
So like she was saying, our first grant recipients were the youth in the Mahal Plaza, so all of us got to go out there last month and just see what exactly they were doing with all the equipment that we purchased for them, and just kind of get active with the youth in the community.
So HANDS was one of the volunteer events that we attended this year, and we were able to clean up there's this one street that they chose, and we painted the houses, we cleaned up the yards, we helped plant flowers, and really got to give back to our community.
Another thing we took part of was the Feather River Parkway opening, which was cool. We just helped with bike racks and just kicked that off. And then we also have our concert in the park that we're doing next month, which will just raise money for our group to have money for things to buy for the youth and put on other stuff.
Another volunteering project that we did was visit the Yuba Center Gleaners, and we helped package and distribute food and clothes to the disadvantaged and elderly. And a cool surprise was that we got to do it alongside members of the band Maroon 5, and it was a really cool way to give back to the community and help people in need.
Throughout the years, we have a shirt available for community enhancement and free events for the youth. So that takes place throughout the years, and yeah.
A couple of our more recent youth concerns that we've had come up is there is the Sam Brennan skate park for skateboarders only. There have been bikes are looking to move there, so we've been looking at that more recently, and we're going to be looking into that more for a possible park for bikes for different times, as well as that we have now created a Instagram page for Yuba City that you can follow at Yuba City.
Another possible project that we are looking into and hopefully will become a future reality is a community garden. And we have coordinated with New Earth Market and River Valley Family Fitness to build a garden out on land owned by River Valley Family Fitness next to New Earth Market. And hopefully, with everything, this will soon be happening. And then, in conclusion, I would just like to thank the City Council for letting us present tonight. And are there any questions?
Any questions from council members for the commission?
No questions, but comment. Thank you for your participation in our community and looking at events that youth can participate in. I'm especially looking forward to the community garden. I think that's a great project that you've recommended, and anything we can do to help, we'll be there with you.
Just a couple comments for you guys. As congratulations on all of the projects that you have brought forward and all of the energy that you're putting into the Youth Commission, and especially into Yuba City. But just a number of things that you guys have done have really, I think, opened the eyes for what's possible in our community. You are a guiding light, and certainly one of those groups that give inspiration to us older individuals that are trying to lead from a different side of the city, but you guys really kind of push us forward, and I thank you for that. You're a great group, and certainly leaders in our community in your own right.
I would also like to echo that and say thank you for serving the community, and I think you guys serve as great role models for your age group. They certainly need good role models at that high school level, so thank you for serving that.
And let me echo that as well, because think about it, when you guys all interviewed for the Youth Commission, each and every one of you, one of the comments you made was there's nothing to do for our youth in this community. And now you take a look at all the activities that you guys have been involved in. You are the voice of the youth. You guys are the voice of our future here. And undoubtedly you could say that there is a lot of things to do in the community, and I think one of the things that was in the paper this morning was a BMX bike stuff, and one of the things that we had said, well, you need to go to the Youth Commission and present your ideas, and so I'm glad that they were able to come through there and you were able to assist them in having a BMX bike. But keep up the good work, and as a council, we appreciate you guys coming and letting us know and what's going on in your commission there, and as a council, you guys have our full support. Thank you guys very much.
One of the things that I really can sense is the satisfaction you guys get from giving back, and that's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, next. Now, you guys can stick around and for the next hour and a half listen to the meeting, or you guys are you're excused?
I think they're going to stay.
You guys are excused. Yeah.
The nurses are leaving too?
Well, wait, no. No, Councilmember Starkey, you have to stick around.
Just teasing. You could. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were going to take us to January yogurt afterwards or something.
You got the wrong memo. Okay, next item is public hearings. Item number 4, proposed 2014-2015 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan presented by Mr. Aaron Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This is the city's annual allocation plan for community development block grant funds. As you know, the city is considered an entitlement city, and as such, we receive an annual award of funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to be used on programs that are directed towards the city's consolidated housing plan, which is a 5-year strategy for promoting affordable housing to our community, as well as the expansion of economic opportunity for low and moderate income families. Before we can go ahead and allocate those funds to recipients, we must produce the annual action plan, which we have before you tonight. As usually happens in this case, we were awarded just over $500,000, and unfortunately we had many requests totaling 15 requests that totaled upwards of $1.3 million. So unfortunately we can't fund all of the great programs that are out there, but what we did do is have our review committee take a look at the request and rank those based on the priorities in our consolidated housing plan, and the recommendations are before you tonight. I've just shown here, this is attachment 3 in your packet, which is the funding request, and again it totals just under $1.3 million. And then finally our recommendation from the review committee, again based on those priorities of the consolidated plan, to allocate those funds among your administration, which is to fund staff and their work on this program, public services, as well as public programs. So we've included a resolution for your approval tonight, and with that we'll go ahead and submit it to HUD for implementation for the next year.
Okay, any questions before I open it up for a public hearing? Okay. I'll go ahead and open this portion for a public hearing. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item may do so by going to the podium and stating your name. Okay. Seeing that there's no mad rush, I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing and bring it back to the council for their comments, questions.
Through the mayor?
Yes.
I would move the recommendation.
Okay, I've got a motion.
I'll second that.
I got a second. I just want to make a comment before we do the vote here real quick. One of the questions that we've asked and is looking at this, obviously we have a whole list of these grants from the council. How do we administer this? How do we make sure that the money that's going for is actually being done properly? And I think one of the answers came back is that you have an administrator that makes sure that everything's documented and making sure that the money's there. So it's not just a bunch of checks going out every year where nobody knows what's going on. So all the funds are watched very, very carefully.
Very closely.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just as a point of clarification, I want to ensure, I know that the city clerk sent out a amended sheet, updated numbers, and I want to make sure that the council was moving forward that amended allocation sheet.
I would amend my motion to include the amendment. How's that?
Yeah, that's pretty good. So we've got a motion and a second to include the amended sheet, which included the amended first and second motion. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next is public communication. You're welcome and encouraged to participate in this meeting. Public comment is taken on items listed on the agenda when they are called. Public comments on items not listed on the agenda will be heard at this time. Comments on controversial items may be limited, and large groups are encouraged to select representatives to express the opinions of the group. Item number 5 is written requests. Members of the public submitting a written request at least 24 hours prior to the meeting will normally be allotted 5 minutes to speak. Terrell, do we have any written requests?
No requests were received.
Okay. Item number 6, appearance of interest citizens. Members of the public may address the City Council items of interest that are within the city's jurisdiction. Individuals addressing general comments are encouraged to limit their statements to 3 minutes. Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to comment on anything that's on the agenda or not on the agenda? Okay. We'll move on over to the consent calendar. All matters listed in the consent calendar are considered to be routine and can be acted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time that the council votes on the motion unless members of the City Council, staff, or public request specific items to be discussed or removed from consent calendar for individual action. Is there anyone from the council who wishes to have any items removed? Anyone from the public? Okay, if not.
Mayor, staff would request that item 8 be removed for separate consideration due to a clarification necessary in that item.
Okay, perfect. Can I get a motion on item number 7?
I'll move.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 8, Sutter Animal Services Authority SASA Joint Powers Agreement Amendment concerning the cost of the new facility.
Mr. Mayor, the last sentence in the amended section actually has two words that are missing that need to be added.
Okay.
And if I can, it says the last phrase is the member agencies to work together to either approve an amended project or redesign the project to reduce its costs. So the two words that are instrumental are to and its. Pardon the error, they slipped out of the item in your agenda packet, and so as a point of clarification, we'd just like to include those.
Okay.
Through the mayor?
Yes.
Just to clarify that, though, it's actually just the last word, because to is in the original language, so it's just adding the word its.
Oh, pardon me, I'm going off of this memo, so...
I understand, but I looked at that also and saw that there's just the one word that's actually missing. So.
Sounds like Councilman Dukes has the best information.
Okay.
Through the mayor?
Yes.
I want to make sure I do this properly. Is this an amended recommendation?
No, it's not.
Just a simply amended recommendation?
Yes.
Then I would move the amended recommendation.
Okay.
I'll second that. Whatever you said.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9 in general items, water conservation update. Diana.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I wanted to provide you an update on our water conservation efforts since I was back here in January. So quick summary of the city's water sources. We have 2 State Water Resources Control Board, one a license, one a permit. We have a contract with the North Yuba Water District, a DWR State Water Project contract, and then we also have a backup groundwater well at the water treatment plant. These total an annual allotment of 32,848 acre-feet on an annual basis. However, there are restrictions as to time of use on 3 of the contracts, and so that would be the North Yuba Water District and the State Water Resources Control Board licenses and permits. In January, I gave a brief discussion on reliability for our water sources. The State Water Resources Control Board license 13855 was acquired in 1964, and water restrictions have only been applied twice, in 1977 and 1992. The State Water Resources Control Board permit 18558 was acquired in 1978, and water restrictions are routinely applied in June or mid-May depending on runoff. The North Yuba Water District was negotiated in 1965 and no restrictions have ever been applied. And the DWR State Water Project contract was executed in 1963. It's typically subject to restrictions. We typically see about 65% annual allotment. But in 1990-1991, we had severe restrictions of 20%, and in 2014, it's been restricted to 5%. So for 2014, our water supplies currently include the State Water Resources Control Board license at the full amount. The State Water Resources Control Board permit has been curtailed completely, so we have a 0 allotment. The North Yuba Water District, we have 100% at 4,500 acre-feet. The DWR State Water Project, initially we thought we were going to get 0%. They increased that to 5%. Fortunately, we have DWR State Water Project carryover water of 6,906 acre-feet. What has happened is in previous years where we had normal to above normal rainfall, in which we haven't utilized 100% of our allotment under the DWR State Water Project, we were allowed to bank that water for future years when it's needed. And so this is where we've saved water from previous years when it wasn't required, and we're now utilizing it this year. And then we have the backup groundwater well at the water treatment plant. So those total 21,634 acre-feet. So a comparison of water supply to water demand shows the city's contractual allotment of 32,848 acre-feet, the scheduled allotment for 2014 at 21,634 acre-feet. Just as a benchmark, the 2013 water demand was 18,178 acre-feet. Now, what the city's scheduled allotment would have been without our carryover water is 14,728 acre-feet. So staff has received feedback that we're sending mixed messages to the public. One being that we have enough water to service through build-out, yet we want you to conserve water. And I can understand where that would be a mixed message. On paper, we have enough water to serve build-out. That's assuming no curtailments, no restrictions, that you're fully able to utilize those contracts. What we're seeing during a drought year is a greatly reduced use of our water. And so if we didn't have that carryover water, we would not have been able to meet the demands for 2013. So that's why we are encouraging residents and businesses within the city to conserve water per the governor's proclamation. So in January 17, 2014, Governor Brown declared a drought state of emergency in which he issued a proclamation requesting that Californians reduce their water usage by 20% and that local municipalities implement their water shortage conservation plans. In April 2014, he issued a proclamation of a continued state of emergency in which he requested that Californians avoid using water to clean sidewalks, driveways, parking lots, and other hardscapes, turn off fountains that are not recirculating, limit vehicle washing at home by patronizing car washes, and limit outdoor watering of lawns to no more than twice per week. So in the city's urban water management plan, we have a water shortage conservation plan that's broken up into 4 stages, ranging from stage 1, which is anticipated to have a 20% reduction, all the way up to stage 4, which is anticipated to have a 40 to 50% reduction. The breakdown of the water shortage conservation plan includes demand reduction education, voluntary rationing, use prohibitions, plumbing fixture replacement, mandatory rationing, reduced water pressure, and water shortage pricing. So currently we are in stage 2 of our water shortage conservation plan, which you can see from that table. There isn't a stage 2 listed even though our urban water management plan identifies it, but it does discuss stage 3. So on January 21st, 2014, Council implemented Stage 2, and so, which was voluntary rationing and demand reduction education. So since that time, we have seen a reduction of 21.6% of metered deliveries. What metered deliveries is the actual water reaching the customers. So our customers overall have conserved 21.6% of water compared to 2013. However, our overall conservation is 8%, and there's several factors that lead into this that are related to the water treatment plant. Number 1, we brought on the fish screen and the raw water intake, which through that construction process, we had to test the new fish screen and the raw water intake. And so we had to run water through that facility at the design flows. Even though we didn't need to use those design flows, we needed to run water through it to be able to test that facility. We've also been gearing up for summer, getting our membrane filters ready for to turn them on and utilize those. And so with that, you have a higher usage of water right now at the water treatment plant to address, getting ready for those summer flows. I have to say the staff at the water treatment plant has done an excellent job to try to conserve water. They've reduced water consumption used for backwash cycles tremendously. And they're looking, taking every effort that they can to try to reduce water at the water treatment plant. So with stage 3, the mandatory use prohibitions, our municipal code provides this list of items that are part of stage 3. So spraying down of sidewalks, driveways, parking lots, buildings, and other impermeable surfaces is prohibited. Car washing, other than on owner's residential property or commercial car wash facility, is prohibited. Lawn watering should be limited to twice per week. Leaking pipes shall be repaired promptly. Water shall not run off beyond property lines. All evaporative coolers must be of the recirculating type. Public agencies and commercial industrial users must submit an irrigation schedule to Public Works for approval. An automatic shutoff nozzle shall be attached to all hoses. Commercial nurseries only allowed to water as needed to maintain plant materials. Decorative water facilities are prohibited unless they recirculate the water, and all restaurants shall furnish water only at the customer's request. So at this time, staff is recommending that we implement elements of Stage 3 on a voluntary basis, and the elements that we're proposing to implement are in line with the governor's proclamation. So that would be the street and sidewalk cleaning, the washing of cars, residential landscape restrictions. I want to make a note about residential landscape restrictions. When you look at reducing irrigation to twice per week, in talking to the water treatment plant supervisor, in his experience at other agencies, what he's actually found is that that can almost lead to opposite of what you're proposing to do. When you tell people that they can only water twice per week, they tend to turn the water cycle on longer to make up for the time that they're not, the other days that they're not watering. And so we're requesting voluntary implementation of this. However, we're not going to go around and monitor people to make sure that they are watering twice per week. We feel like, based upon the results that we're seeing on the voluntary basis of the 21.6% of our customers, they are taking a proactive approach to conserve water. And so I just want to put it out there now, with the twice per week, that's not something that we're going to go out and monitor for the homeowners. Also, gutter flooding. And I want to point out the water treatment plant staff put together this door hanger, and they put one at each of your chairs. And this is a great door hanger. If we get a phone call that somebody's sprinkler is, water's going into the gutter, the water's going beyond their property, there's a sprinkler that's broken, we can put this on their door just to let the property owner know that they have an issue with the sprinkler. And then also on the flip side of that, we have water-saving tips and our contact information. We're also requesting that residents install automatic shutoff nozzles on hoses. This next one's controversial, the decorative water features. We have not turned on the spray grounds at Regency Park and Shanghai Garden Park because those are not recirculating playgrounds. The water comes from the service, gets sprayed, and goes directly into the storm drain. So it does not recirculate. So we have not turned those fountains on. And I understand from Brad McIntyre, Parks and Rec Director, we've been receiving phone calls and complaints about that. But those fountains use a lot of water on a daily basis during the summer months. And then finally, with the restaurants, we're working on a trifold to provide to the restaurants that basically lets the customers know, please ask for water. The restaurant should not just automatically give it to customers, but it should be requested and provided upon request. In addition, next steps in July, we'll be bringing forward a Water Smart program. For those of you that get through PG&E, they have a really great program where you get every couple months a mailing that tells you how your home compares to other homes of similar size within your community and things that you can do to provide more energy efficiency. The Water Smart program is the same thing except for water. So every 2 months, we're going to propose to do a test of our top 5,000 water users. Every 2 months, they will get a flyer that says how they compare to other households within the community with similar size homes, similar size lots, so it's a true comparison, and things that they can do to actually reduce their water usage and conserve water. In addition to that, we're going to be proposing a rebate program where we set aside some funds to look at retrofit programs, replacement programs for high water usage toilets, high water usage washing machines, and for restaurants where they don't have the spray nozzles on the sinks where they're doing their dishwashing, providing those spray nozzles. Mike Palucci, the Deputy Public Works Director for Utilities, actually attended a workshop in Denver about water conservation. That was one of the things that came out, was spray nozzles. The payback on that pretty quick in terms of just conserving water. And so with that, those will be coming forward to the council in July, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Diana?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Diana, when you talk about banking of the water, the water comes from Oroville,
yes,
or to the Feather River. but we actually bank that water in San Luis Obispo Reservoir. So when we need that water, how do we get it?
We physically are going to get the water from Oroville, but DWR's records show that San Luis Reservoir is a conservation facility, and we pay a conservation charge, and so that's where our water is stored, but we will physically get the water from Oroville.
All right. And then I've mentioned this before, and it's the catch-22 of conservation. Because we sell water and we pay for our operations by the water that we sell, if we reduce, in this case, 21.6% of our water that is being sold or metered out, how do we make up that difference?
Yeah, that directly impacts, because we have fixed costs to produce water. And so that directly impacts our revenues. And it has impacted our revenues for this fiscal year. One of the things that we'll be coming forward to council with, we're going to be issuing an RFP for a new rate study. And one of the elements of the rate study is to analyze the impacts of water conservation on our rates, where they would then propose rates during times where you have drought and water conservation requirements, so that we can meet our minimum fixed costs.
Well, one of the things that at different meetings that I've been to is looking into programs where you actually reward the people who are conserving and you penalize the people who are not. And the thing is, too, you could have somebody that has been conserving for years and we ask them to conserve another 20%. They're actually doing more than the person who hasn't done anything. So we need to, whenever we look at these rate studies and we do this, we need to make sure that we're looking at programs that will reward people that will do the conserving and penalize those who are not, so that we're not penalizing the people that we asked to conserve and they did what we asked them to do.
Right. We'll be looking at a tiered rate structure, so similar to what you see on your PG&E bill. If you're in the bottom tier, you get the best price, but once you go over a certain threshold, then you start getting surcharges onto that.
Mm-hmm.
So through the rate study process, we'll be looking at the tiered rate structure as well.
Great. Thank you.
Other questions for Dinah?
Yeah, just probably comment in a couple, maybe a question or two. I've received 2 phone calls in reference to SunSuite, and that's their sprinkling system on the south end of the building. And I think we just need to be more as we put information out in public, especially those locations that use reclaimed water for their irrigation, that the public is somehow notified that those facilities are doing just that, that they're using reclaimed water. My conversations only lasted less than a minute with both phone calls regarding that, and it was one day apart, so I think that it's probably the one time that they had the water on this year. And then in the interest of public safety, my question would be, what if we looked at temperature indicators for our young kids that go to the water features, they're able to cool off, things like that. I would much rather have those on high heat days than I would to have those children and their families migrate to the river from a safety aspect. So really, that's what I'm looking at is how many days go, over, let's say, 99, 100 degrees, where those features would be getting used, and it's minimal. It's probably less than 18 days. So, what would the cost of that be to be able to turn those on, and is it that easy just to turn that system on and off?
Yeah, I can work with Brad, Parks and Rec Director, to not only determine the quantity of water that we would anticipate to use during that time frame, but then also the system that we would put in place to turn those fountains on and off during those days. And we can provide a recommendation back to council.
It would also have to have some type of public recognition, so they would know that on a certain day that those features would be activated due to the temperatures. That's all I have.
Kind of getting back to just piggybanking what John was saying on those water features, there's a time limit, isn't it, that it turns on and off on? Or does it, because I think the one at Regency Park, and if I remember correctly, there's kids out there till like 11 at night. I mean, so that thing can run. I mean, I just, I don't know. I mean, I just think we're going to send mixed messages. On one hand, we're trying to conserve water. On the other hand, we're trying to turn water on certain dates. So, if we're going to go with the governor's recommendation of, stage 3 or conserving water, then that's kind of what we need to take a look at that. That's my opinion on that. So.
Yeah, and our neighborhood parks close at dusk, so they shouldn't be out there at 11 o'clock at night. But I mean, I look at it from the aspect of where the kid's going to migrate to in high heat.
Yeah.
And
Great, thank you. This is just a note and file, so it doesn't need any recommendation. Item number 10 is State Waters Project Contract Extension Negotiations.
Okay, so as I mentioned previously, we have a contract with the Department of Water Resources through the State Water Project to supply the city with water. So in 2012, they approached all of the state water contractors with the desire to start the negotiation process to extend the contract. The contract currently expires in 2035, and my first reaction was, well, if it expires in 2035, why are we talking about it in 2013? But they actually had really good reasons to start discussing it now. And so the contract extension process is comprised of 4 steps, where you negotiate the terms of the contract extension. So that took place between 2013 through March 2014. Step 2 was to develop agreements in principle. And so when they are developing agreements in principle, it's with every state water contractor. And I believe there's 28 or 29. There's quite a few. Step 3 is the CEQA process. They have to cover the agreement in principle and the terms identified. And then step 4 is the actual contract amendment. So based upon this, we're looking at the contract amendment being executed likely in 2016. So why is an extension necessary now? With the contract ending in 2035, it narrowed the financing window. DWR cannot finance capital costs beyond 2035, and they generally like to do bond financing for a period of 30 to 40 years. Capital facility payments were compressed, so the billings did not extend beyond 2035, which steeply increased capital charges. And they also have pressure to finance future large capital projects. So benefits to the city of a contract extension. It allows us to obtain commitment for continued service beyond 2035. It provides the ability to provide capital financing beyond 2035. It eases the financial compression, and it allows enhanced financial management. It allows for a combination of DWR and state water contract representatives to actually manage the state water contract. The proposed contract term is 50 years. So we'd have a new expiration date of 2085. And so next steps, DWR has drafted formal agreements in principle. And so we're currently in step 2. So we've seen the draft agreement in principle. Our attorney, Andrew Hitchings, has reviewed it and did not have any comments on it. And so once DWR gets feedback from all of the state water contracts regarding the acceptability of the agreements in principle, they will then move into step 3. So in the near future, I will be bringing the agreement in principle to council for execution. And that's it. Any questions?
Questions for Diana?
Yes.
Yes.
Diana, what are we currently paying per acre foot of water on that contract?
It's just slightly under $50 per acre foot.
So will we be able to continue that pricing if we do this extension, or is it increase?
They held a workshop today in Sacramento to go over the financial model. All indications at this point is that it would be very minimal impact to the city. They have reserves to fund many of the upfront costs associated with the contract extension process. And even with that, Yuba City is such a small player in the overall state water contract project, it's not anticipated that this is going to have a significant impact on the city rates at all. But like I said, they had a financial workshop today in which our consultant attended, and so he'll be able to give us more information on the actual impacts to the city.
So if there was an increase, would it be now or would it start in 2035?
It would be now. Or it would be when the contract's executed. There would be terms in the contract specifying what the rates will be, how they will increase.
So we kind of lose the benefit of what we have left with the existing contract, other than we have a contract for water, but we lose that value?
But with the existing contract and the compression, we would have seen an increase in costs anyway, because they're trying to finance everything prior to 2035.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, and just a comment on this. I guess if we can get a contract that it's not going to be significantly more than what we're paying now for that additional 50 years, that's compared to what some of the other contracts and what we're paying for that water, this would be still a very good value.
And that, comparatively for the state, this water is very cheap.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anna. Again, this is for note and file, so no vote on this is needed. Item number 11 is groundwater well abandonment plans and specs.
This is my final item tonight. So the city purchased the 4 Mill Hillcrest Water Company in 2001, and then we converted the former Hillcrest water area to surface water around 2010. And so with that, we have a total of 12 wells on 10 sites that we're proposing to abandon. They do not meet drinking water standards, so it's not something that we could recommission those wells and start utilizing those wells for drinking water within the system. And so staff has prepared plans and specifications, and the engineer's estimate for the project is $200,000. With the well sites, the value of the well sites is estimated to be approximately $300,000. So once the wells are abandoned, we can then determine those properties to be surplus and dispose of them appropriately. And so staff is requesting adoption of a resolution approving the plans and specs and authorizing Public Works to advertise the project.
Questions for Diana?
Yeah, actually. Would that water be available to use for irrigation water throughout the city, for parks and so forth? Would there make any sense doing that?
It could be, but our larger parks all have irrigation wells now.
Thank you.
Looking at some of the ones that are out towards the west and up north, could we not sell that water for irrigation water to farming rather than just capping those wells off?
I don't think there's any canals nearby. If you're going to sell it, you have to sell it into the water districts. So there's not any canals that are there at the present time.
All right. I'm just trying.
Farmers have their own wells.
Yeah.
It's probably cheaper to just pump their own well at their farm instead of pumping it over at the city, and then, like Kat said, there's really no way of getting the water around.
Well, I know we don't have the infrastructure to. We talked about being able to blend that water, but there's no way to do that unless we got it back up to the water treatment facility, and we don't have the infrastructure to be able to do that either.
Yeah,
So.
no, and I think most of the farmers here are all well water within the city's sphere and as well as in Sutter County. Some of them a little bit on the outsides are, the Sutter Basin Water District, but everything's okay with them. So, any other questions? Okay.
I'd move staff's recommendation.
I'll second that
I got a motion and a second, and all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Diana. Item number 12 is business from City Council. City Council reports. Councilmember Buckland.
Well, thank you very much. Did I turn it back off? That's what I did. Thanks for taking care of me. I just wondered, in 2085, would your hair be gray yet? And that was the only question that kind of came up.
I know. I know Councilman
Buckland.
Councilman Duke's hair would not be gray.
There you go.
I don't even know if I'll be around in 2085.
Had the opportunity last week to attend the police memorial service over at Yuba City Police Department, and a very nice, after missing last year's, or it not occurring last year, was nice to have it come back, and being able to attend that just a week and a day after I attended one back in Washington, D.C. It was a very moving experience, and certainly something that embraces our public safety and our military here locally, and really brings to the forefront what they do for our community. Also, yesterday I attended the Government Relations Committee meeting down at SACOG in Sacramento, just looking at a number of different projects that are available in some of the bills that are coming forward, and we are looking at potentially a possibility of joining in with a joint fuel purchase, or at least going to look at their proposal for a joint fuel purchase by a number of Northern California agencies, like about 21 different agencies, see if it would be beneficial to the city. And then also attended the Sutter County Animal Services Authority board meeting, and looking at the proposed budget that's coming forward that will be coming to this body in the very near future for approval. And I do want to take at this time just a moment to wish our mayor well as he travels out later this week for China on our second trade mission into China with a large delegation from our area, an area that is well served by our agricultural interests and certainly the city's interest in promoting those ag interests in the emerging markets in China. So I wish you well on that trip, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Mon.
I attended some of the same meetings and community events, attended the memorial for our peace officers. It is touching when you hear the stories of our officers lost their lives whilst trying to protect us. It's always a great event at our held here at the Yuba City Police Department. Attended the SASA meeting, went over the budget. It looks pretty similar to last year. Also attended the Housing Authority meeting and the Yuba Center Transit Authority meeting.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Starkey.
23rd of last month, I had the opportunity to attend Dan Logue's town hall meeting on water issues in the North State, and there were several presenters, including our own John Dukes. Vice Mayor John Dukes was at the podium. On the 6th, I was able to go to the Government Affairs Committee meeting and also attend Yuba City Unified School District's Local Control Accountability Community Planning meeting. On the 8th, I went to the Yuba City Economic Development Commission Strategic Planning Session. The 9th, Chamber of Commerce had a breakfast where our Mayor Gill presented a state of the city and also several awards to some of the business people here in town. 14th, the Regional Police Officers Memorial, and then on the 15th, the Transit Authority meeting where we approved the budget for the coming year. That's pretty much it.
Vice Mayor Dukes.
A few items here. Attended the Sutter Buttes Flood Control Agency meeting last Wednesday, and we have news that our Chief's report, which is one of the stages in the process for our levies, was included into the WRDA bill, which is the Water Resources Authorization Bill, which is a huge step forward for us. And our next step in that process is getting appropriation for funding from Congress. So we're making progress on that project, and it's been an amazing process to see how we could take a project like this and get it fast-tracked in a shorter period of time than what the Army Corps normally does those projects. So attended the change of command for the 9th Reconnaissance Squadron out at Beale last week on Friday, and then yesterday attended the Community College of the Air Force graduation at Beale. That's all I have to report.
Great. I think from the last meeting, I think Councilmember Buckland and I, we were in Washington, D.C. for Cap to Cap, which is capital to capital, and it takes a lot of the jurisdictions from Sacramento, Roseville, Woodland, and there was 397 of us that were back in Washington, D.C. And out of 397, 37 were about elected officials. Woodland had the most. They had 4 other council members that were there. We had mayors from Sacramento, Kevin Johnson, of course myself, mayors from Woodland, Rockland. We had the CEOs of Sutter, Health, Kaiser, UC Davis. We had the head people with the Sacramento Kings. So it was more of a regional lobbying effort that we took. And out of those, we have over 50 different committees that people were asked to serve on. And it was kind of nice to see that we had a whole delegation from Sacramento, or our region north. And when we go back to those offices, that some of the congressional people, they flew in early. Some flew in Sunday night, knowing that the California delegation was going to be there. And the nice thing is when the California delegation goes back, we actually get a chance to visit with Barbara Boxer, Feinstein, the key people, not just staffers that are back there. So I think, like our Vice Mayor said, our goal, one of the committees that I served on was flood protection, and been doing that. And Mike Amina, who is our executive director for Sutter Buttes Flood Agency, has been doing a dynamite job. And this is the second time back, and making sure that this our Sutter Buttes Flood Agency stays within the WARDA and gets everything pushed through. And it's interesting because when you go from Yuba City and you go to the halls and you tell them you're from Yuba City and you're with the Sutter Buttes Flood Agency, they all know the Sutter Buttes Flood Agency because they've got it all on their walls, from Department Corps of Engineers to FEMA. This is a model project for them because they've got this done in speed time that they've never, ever been able to do, so which is kind of very, very nice. And then in addition to that, obviously, a big, big congratulations goes out to California Chrome. When we were back in Washington, D.C. was when they won their Kentucky Derby. The owners, co-owners, Perry and Denise Martin, are from here, from Yuba City. And then obviously last week, watching the race downtown at the Happy Viking, we made not only local news, but we made national news with that. And I spoke with Perry this morning, congratulated him again, and what a down-to-earth person. I asked him, once this is over, would like to have him here at the City Council. Would like to honor him with a proclamation and bestow him with the highest honor that the city has, and that's to give him the key to the city of Yuba City. And he said he definitely will be. He did not go back and watch the Preakness, but he is going to be going back and watching the Belmont back on the East Coast. One of the things that we're doing, obviously, for them being in Yuba City, we've gotten a lot of phone calls and emails. We are doing a celebration viewing on June 7th. And we've just got the committee together as far as yesterday, and so this work is happening so fast. And the community is coming together very, very quickly. It's amazing when you put a great cause together, how the community just rolls up their sleeves and say, count me in, count me in. Our goal is to close Plymouth Street, which we are going to close Plymouth Street on June 7th. We'll close it at 10 o'clock. Festivities will start at 12 o'clock, and I believe the race starts at 3:18 in the evening. But more details to come, more details to follow. We did hit, like I mentioned, all the local stations. In fact, we did an interview yesterday, live interview on KPK for about a good 5 to 7 minutes, right in their prime time deal. So everybody knows where Yuba City is, and if they don't, we're trying to put Yuba City more on the map. How nice would it be that this race is televised live on NBC, if NBC could actually be here in Yuba City and do live broadcast back and forth prior to the race. So, California Chrome is not only big for the Martins, but it's big for us as well, and it's up to us to take every opportunity that we can to promote Yuba City. And I have absolutely no doubt that we're going to do that. So everybody here in the audience, everybody watching at home, if you've got friends, relatives, you want to be out on Plymouth Street on June 7th, because I can assure you that our goal is to, from what I'm understanding, anywhere from 25 to 30,000 people who are in the purple color shirts, purple and green, for California Chrome. And if he's able to do that, that will not only make history within the last 50 years where horses won a triple crown, but the owners are from Yuba City, co-owners are from Yuba City. So how awesome is that? Coming up, we do have the Flying U Rodeo, so that's why we've got this little horse. This thing says pull tab to operate. So, yeah, the tab's kind of done what it needs to do. So, I don't know what it's doing, but there's a lot of activities planned Wednesday,
You have to ride
I have to ride flying. Yeah, I will ride this on Plymouth Street. How's that?
There we go.
We'll
hold you to that.
Exactly. Wednesday evening, between 5:30 to 8 o'clock is a reception at the Sutter Performing Arts Center Theater Gallery, and we're honoring a tribute to Cotton Rosser. How nice that is for a gentleman who's an icon of our area. If those of you that don't know who he is, all you got to do look is the Flying E Rodeo, and a world name that's everybody knows. So that's definitely a tribute coming, a long time coming. Thursday, 5 o'clock, Yuba City Cattle Drive from Bridge Street, Walton, and ending at John L. Sullivan's. Friday night, 6 p.m. is Sodbusters, so it's hosted by Marysville Rotary Club at Riverfront Park. And Saturday, May 24th, is a pancake breakfast at Silver Dollar Saloon. And Sunday, obviously, is the Marysville Stampede, rodeo itself, and Military Day at the rodeo. So if you think there's nothing going on in our community, there's a lot of good things happening within this community. And lastly, like our council member said, I will be off for 10 days to China on a trade mission with the California Asian Chamber of Commerce. We have 8 business owners, farmers that are accompanying me on this trip, and out of the 8, 2 have indicated very, very strongly that if they're able to make contacts, they will come and open up processing facilities with jobs to be created here in Yuba City, so which is very, very strong. There's about 30 of us that are going back, and from what you've mentioned from last year and what I've seen this year, that within the days their agendas are packed from 7 o'clock in the morning to way at night. And I think you mentioned you've got to eat 3 to 6 meals a day. So we'll see how that goes, but when I get back, I'll definitely have a full report back to the council. The Yuba Center Farm Bureau, John Munger, the chairman of the board, expressed his interest. Very supportive of the trip as well, Farm Bureau is. He couldn't make it due to a conflict of interest. Everybody on this trip is paying their own way for the trip. So, you know, we're looking to foster this relationship, doing some exchange and some trade with the Chinese. With that, that is all I've got for today, so thank you, and meeting's adjourned.